What is going on out there, peeps? All right, there's a lot of confusion over these recent articles involving the Iraqi dinar rate changes that are being proposed. People are not reading them properly, or they're not being explained to you properly. Okay? Now, in all fairness, I've read the same articles myself. And first of all, the way the article is structured is confusing because there are paragraphs that go on to repeat itself over and over, and it's just a real mess. So let me see if I can summarize it to you better so that you understand. Okay? So, reduce the Iraqi dinar exchange rate. This will punish the people. So, what this article goes on to do, and it's very long, as you can see. You see how long this is? And that's because it repeats itself. Because when I was trying to read it, I thought my eyes, it's bad enough as I get older, my eyes strain. But as I'm reading it, I kept reading the same thing over and over. You can see right here, look at this. There. It's here again. See? So, and I was going, man, am I going crazy? Am I reading the same thing over and over? That's what was happening. And it does the same thing down here again. So let me see if I can summarize this for you in a quick way. Okay, so this top part of this article, so basically the author of this article is saying the decreasing or devaluing of the Iraqi dinar is punishment for the people. It's punishment for the country. So that should not be considered at all. That's good news for us. If they decrease the value of the Iraqi dinar, that means we could buy more dinar per dollar. We don't want that. We want to be able to get less dinar per dollar, or in the best case scenario is we want to have to pay more dollars for a dinar. Do you see where I'm going with that? So let me see if I can explain to you this way. Let's say you have 10,000 Iraqi dinars. And at the moment, the dinars are, you could get $1 for every 1,000 dinars. So if you have 10,000, that means they give you 10 US dollars for all 10,000 of your Iraqi dinars. Okay? So let's say you devalue the Iraqi dinars. Now, instead of getting 1,000 Iraqi dinars for my dollar, let's say now I could get 2,000 Iraqi dinars for my dollar. So since you got 10 of them, that means you get 5 US dollars. Do you see what that means? Devaluing them. Okay? So let's say it goes in the opposite direction. All right? Opposite direction. We don't want them to devalue. We want it to increase the value. Okay? So if they increase the value, now you got 10,000 Iraqi dinars. And so instead of $1,000 for every $1 I give you, let's say, I don't know, let's say I get 100. All right, 100. Is that right? So if I get 100 Iraqi dinars for every dollar, then that means I get $100 instead of $10 for all 10,000 dinars. Do you see what I'm talking about? So we don't want them to devalue. Okay, we don't want them to devalue their dinars. We don't want them to decrease the value of their dinars. Okay, that's bad news. We want to go in the opposite direction. So this person's going on to explain how it takes so much dinars to cover all of their expenses. It's a ridiculous amount of dinars they need to cover their expenses. And you can see right here, they're talking about where we are right now currently is this. So this means that for every $1 that we have, we get 1,200 Iraqi dinars. All right, approximately. Okay, it could change. Sometimes it's $1,190. So it's $10, give or take. So this article, just to make the point, is saying the current exchange rate is I give you $1 US, you give me 1,200 Iraqi dinars. Okay, so they're explaining how, because of the way the exchange rate is, it's affecting everything. There's a lot of money, and this causes inflation. If you devalue, it increases inflation because you're forced to produce more dollars just to cover bills. Okay, so it goes on here, and it's explaining. Look at the catastrophic failure began to raise some voices in order to reduce the Iraqi dinar exchange rate against the US dollar in order to increase the budget numbers and reduce the deficit in it. And I find it necessary to clarify in some terms that the readers may be surprised. Anyways, it goes on to just talk crap about people who don't know what they're talking about. And it repeats itself here and it repeats itself here. Then it goes down to educate us on what a floating exchange rate is and what a fixed exchange rate is, otherwise known as the dirty float. It's explaining how they are measured against the other currencies out there. So for a floating exchange rate, which this person is advocating for, and I've heard before, a floating exchange rate, the value of the currency is depending on the market. In other words, they would have to be recognized internationally in order to trade currencies on the foreign exchange market, the Forex. We want this. We want this. You know what I mean? We want them to be internationally recognized. We want them to be exchanging on the Forex. All right, you guys, we want this. So this person is saying, look, let's let the market decide. So what determines the value of the Iraqi dinar will be the supply and demand. In other words, if there's less dinar out there, then that means people are willing to pay more money for it because there's not very much of it out there. Versus a fixed rate exchange is a problem because that means the central bank of Iraq, their finance people, they would determine the value, and that could be it's hurting if they interfere instead of just allowing the market to do what it needs to do. Now, I've heard arguments on both ends on how it should be fixed and how it should be floating. I told you guys in my earlier videos, I've seen the CBI going back and forth with the government of Iraq. The government of Iraq wanted to float. The IMF and the CBI wanted to be fixed, a fixed rate for 3 years at around $1.34. Okay, the reason for that is they just want to be able to monitor the shock to the economy, to the value, or to the economy. So I want to be able to monitor that and control it. The rate of the currency, the value of the currency versus other currencies. They want to make sure that it doesn't shock the economy so much that they end up crashing all over again. So that's a dirty float. That's a fixed exchange rate or a managed rate is what that does. They just say this is the rate. It's usually against the US dollar. So they'll say something like this. For every 1 dinar, you will get back $1.34 American dollars. Okay, that's a fixed rate. Okay, a floating rate says this is what it is at the moment when you make your purchase. Okay, so it's whatever the current exchange rate is when you go to make your exchange. The problem with that is this. You can see in the morning that you're getting back $3 for every 1 Iraqi dinar, but by the time you get to the bank, some bad news happens, and instead you only get 25 cents back for every Iraqi dinar. Do you see how a floating exchange can vary? Anyways, it goes on to explain how, look, Iraq is screwed because it's been relying so much on only oil to handle its budgets and expenses. You know what I mean? That this is just, it's too much. It's too much of a hassle. It's going to cause inflation again. So they go on through here and it's explaining again the floating process and how it works, the devaluation and the revaluation, and says, okay, so since Iraq works within a fixed rate system, we could talk about the reducing of the rate. Okay, so it goes on here saying about how they control it and how the currency fixed rate affects it. Anyways, a person goes on in here to make an example of devaluing a currency. So let's say if you're a person who is on welfare or cash aid over there, and let's say you're getting 50 million Iraqi dinars, then all of a sudden you devalue its purchasing power. So now let's just say for the sake of it, it's reduced by 50%. Well, instead of that person having the purchasing power of 50 million dinars, even though they have 50 million dinars in paper, the purchasing power has been reduced in half. That means they only have the purchasing power of 25 million dinars. See, that means they can't buy anything with it. It really is punishment for the Iraqi people. Now let's go in the other direction. Let's say you increase the purchasing power of the Iraqi dinar, and let's say it goes up, 100% more. So your 50 million Iraqi dinars is now equivalent to having 100 million Iraqi dinars. This is good for in country. Do you see what I'm saying? Anyways, this person goes on to make this case, and let me see if I can get to the other part of it. They go on to say, look, we need it makes the point that I do, by the way. It goes on here to say, look, right now, it would be good to lower the value of the Iraqi dinar if they had other resources to get money from other than oil, other revenues. But right now, Iraq has nothing. It has nothing to offer to the rest of the world in the trade, in doing trades. And because it has nothing, it doesn't make no sense to devalue the currency. That's what Vietnam does. That's what China does. They manipulate the currency and they lower it. Well, why is that? Because if they can export goods, that means the cost of their goods is cheaper. So if I'm a business and I'm buying products out of Iraq, it's cheaper for me if they lower the value of the currency. That means I can get more bang for my buck. Okay, do you see? But that's only if they had other things that they had to offer the world outside of oil. And since they don't, that means they have to increase their purchasing power. And this guy goes on, and whoever wrote this article goes on to say, look, you have to, for the same reason I did. I swear this guy is watching Pimpy's investment chat. Trust me, he is. Because he goes on to say it makes sense to increase the dinar so that it has a lot more purchasing power so that you could buy the things. You need to import things that you need to rebuild the economy. I said that a few times. Okay, so we need to increase the, look at this, it goes on to talk about if you lower it, look at this. Inflation of the prices due to the low purchasing power of the Iraqi dinar. And if Iraq, after the currency devaluation, has become worth 5,000 dinars, and if she receives a number that is 5 million, then okay. So it goes on. I just explained this. I just said the same thing this person is. Okay. So anyways, it's going on to saying here, look, since it's saying the same thing I did, and that is this. Since Iraq has nothing right now to compete with other nations as far as import exports are concerned, this means they have to rebuild their entire infrastructure. They have to get outside businesses to come in. So what they need to do is increase their purchasing power, increase the value of the dinar, so that when they use their dinars to buy goods and have them imported into the country, they can get more of those goods because their money has more purchasing power. So let's say, for instance, if my Iraqi dinar money, and I needed to import wood from ABC country. Let's just say that I need, 100,000 boards. I'm just making this up. So at the current rate, in order for me to get 100,000 boards, I need to give you, I don't know, let's just say for the sake of it, 10,000 Iraqi dinars to get my 100,000 boards because my value is so cheap. If you increase the value of the Iraqi dinar, now, all of a sudden, instead of paying 10,000 Iraqi dinars to get my 100,000 boards, maybe I'll only spend 1,000 Iraqi dinars to get the same 100,000 boards from out of country. Do you see what I'm talking about? And since Iraq has nothing and they have to rebuild, they have to increase their rate. This is great for us because we hold dinars. All right? So they need to increase their rates so that they can start rebuilding. I said this a zillion times. That's what this person is trying to make. Look, you can manipulate your currency. You can devalue the currency when you have something more to offer in trade. But right now you have nothing but oil. And if you devalue the currency, it actually hurts the people within the country. But if you turn around, you increase its purchasing power, that helps the people in country. It helps the economy. It lowers deflation or inflation, and it allows you to purchase more from other countries because your rate is higher against their currency. You could buy more goods. Welcome to Pimpy Economy 101. All right, you guys. So good. I like this article. For a minute there when I was reading it, I couldn't understand what they're trying to say, but I realized they're just trying to give you a lesson on what fixed rates are versus a floating rate, the benefits and problems with devaluation, and the benefits of increasing devaluation. All right, you guys. So this looks really, really good. This is, I like this article, of course, because it benefits us. But I also know that it will help the Iraqi people. I keep saying this quote all the time. I remember one of the protesters, he was mad. He was upset. He said, I have 250 dinars in my pocket. It's not even worth a damn quarter. They go out and they work so hard for the money, but they can't buy anything with their money. Increase the value of the dinar. Not just because we want it to, because it helps the people in Iraq. And it will help them start rebuilding. So what I do as an American is go over there and I exchange my US dollars for their currency, and then I use their currency to buy goods to start my business over there. I start offering jobs. The more Iraqi people go to work, that means the less that the government pays out in entitlement programs. This means these people get their own monies. This means they start paying taxes. This stimulates the economy. And now we got growth. All right, you guys? So that's what this article is. I just wanted to straighten it out because there was a lot of confusion about this. Okay, so let's get into these other articles real quick since I got your attention. The central bank sends an open letter to the three presidencies, and this is the text. Okay, so the banks, the central bank is pissed because people are saying they want to stop the auctions because there's too much corruption. These guys are sending a letter saying, hey, you need to stop that kind of chatter because you're going to cause people to lose faith in the institutions. So they want the presidencies to step in. That's what this one's about. What is this one here? Reveals the final versions of the names. All right, looks like our boy, Al-Qademi. Those aren't bombs, they're my whip. All right, cracking a whip, man. Look at, here we go. The names are finally there. Looks like they're going to vote on them on, is it Sunday or Sunday? I believe it's Sunday. They were saying Wednesday, then they said Sunday, but it looks like it's going to happen Sunday. We want this to happen. We need them to get in there. Let's complete this cabinet. We know what's coming up here shortly. We got a huge meeting coming up, and we're going to talk about that here in a couple minutes because we got other articles that cover that. Look at this. Halabasa receives the names of the candidates. So he's got the names, all right? Note where the 7 ministries are still vacant under Kademi's government. Oil, foreign affairs, justice, immigration, the displaced, agriculture, and trade. So the names have been submitted. Let's get these positions filled. What's going on up in this article? We like the sound of money. In this document, the central bank proposes to transfer the currency auctions. Okay, so this is one of the things that are upsetting to the CBI and why they wrote the three presidencies. Look at here. The Central Bank of Iraq renewed its proposal that the foreign ministry take over the sale of the dollar to the market directly for exchange in Iraqi dinars to cover the budget expenditures without the central bank's mediation. Okay? The central bank attributes its proposal in its letter to the three presidencies obtained a copy that was earlier. Carrying out its task, devotes itself to carrying out its tasks, which are numerous and important for financial stability and economic stimulus in order to get the bank out of confusion. Okay, so this is a bigger... Okay, we know when it comes to the auctions, and here's the problem. The auctions were being weaponized. You heard Nathan talk about it. So the way it's supposed to function was not functioning properly. Okay? The way it was supposed to. So how it normally functions the right way is the more of the foreign currencies you get, or the more of, no, they were selling their foreign currencies to control the rate, which is backwards. All right, you want to build up your foreign currency so you have more foreign currency assets. The more foreign currency assets that you have, the better your credit rating. This is really good, and it helps stabilize your dollar. But they're using these auctions, Iran was, they were using this auction, and they were doing corrupt things with it, and they got busted doing so. Also, with them trying to cut ties with Iran as much as possible, including their influence, they need to start showing people that the corruption is being taken care of. Switching over the control of the auctions is good news, more good news. The president of the Republic assures the minister on 7 matters. Okay, so what is Saleh saying here? Saleh confirmed on Thursday there are 7 matters it wants to take care of. While receiving Alawi at his palace, the appropriate reforms combating corruption, working to rationalize government spending and preserve public money, and to develop and diversify the sources of the economy while the country is facing the Rona. Okay, so yeah, we already know this. We already know that these are the areas, especially the one where it says diversifying the source of the economy. They need to do more agriculture. They need to have more outside businesses come in. They got to stop relying on just oil. Okay, Halabasi discusses with the U.S. ambassador support for the Iraqi people. All right, as much as the Kurds want the United States and other foreign militaries out of Iraq. Halabasi discussed with the U.S. ambassador how the U.S. and the Kurds could work together to make sure that al-Qadimi's government is on firm footing and will be successful. So I want to talk about supporting the new government in the security, economic, culture, scientific fields, and accordance with mutual interests. All right? Good. Valid for the central bank governor, the need to follow balanced monetary policies. Yeah, okay, so I remember when Shabibi was in there, one of the things he had a problem with as far as the Paris Accord was concerned, he didn't like the Paris Accord, even though they were forgiven a lot of debt, but they had to adopt financial policies implemented by the IMF and World Bank. His complaint was this: the policies were great at keeping inflation low, but it really restricted the economic growth of Iraq. So he didn't like the policies and actually walked out of the meeting and had to be talked into it. Shabibi thought the rate was too low, the exchange rate of the dinar, and that would not help out the Iraqi people. He was right. This is going on, just to repeat what we're talking about. Look, if we're going to have a rate change happen, we got to make sure there's no corruption. In order to be accepted by the international community, we have to make sure that we're proving to them that we can do this and we can handle our own government. Parliamentary solution to the financial crisis at al-Qadimi's office trends towards changing the dollar policy and exchange rate. Well, I don't know about you guys. I can think of a way that will help. I'm sure you guys are out there. Let's do the Pimpy dance. A number of deputies submitted several proposals to the government of Prime Minister al-Qadimi to reinforce the government's plan to overcome the financial crisis. So let's see what they have to offer. The proposal that the deputies read in a statement during the preparation for tomorrow's session includes about 6 points and proposals, which include stopping the auctions of selling the currency and changing the exchange rate in a way that does not affect the citizens, reviewing the import approach to reduce and prevent imports of available products, as well as controlling border crossings and applying the agriculture calendar. Man, I'm telling you, 2020 is our year. Look, let's not get overly excited, but go ahead. We can do Pimpy dance just a little bit. All right, you guys? Looking good, man. Looking good. What is this? External borrowing is another option for al-Qadimi's government to secure employee salaries. So we know that they were forced to do a little bit of borrowing so that they could cover salaries. This is not good. So the Parliament Work Committee confirmed Thursday the external borrowing will be the last options for the government and the House of Representatives to secure employee salaries. Look, I say don't borrow externally, increase the rate and borrow internally. That's what they should do. That would be a huge help. Do you see how changing the rate can help Iraq out in such a great way by increasing the rate? It would reduce their deficit because their money would have more buying power. In other words, it would take less Iraqi dinars to cover salaries because the value of the dinar is higher. See where I'm going with this? I know. I should be the CBI bank manager. What do you think? No? No. Okay. The Finance Committee rules out passing the foreign borrowing. What? I agree. I like this. Here you go, Parliament. I'm going to agree with you. So Parliament Finance Committee on Thursday ruled out passing the foreign borrowing law into Parliament. Committee member Quado. What does that need, South America? There we go again. Another reference back to Puerto Rico. Quado. Remember that little dude's head and the other guy's belly? Never mind. You got to see it. I'm really aging myself. The external borrowing law faced a parliamentarian refusal within Parliament during the first reading, and it may fail to pass it during the second reading. Good. Fell. Increase your value of your dinar so that you can take care of your problems internally. What is this? The Kurds are demanding that okay, so good. They want to be there during the meeting. I don't have a problem with that. So what is it? What's the problem? A member of the Kurdistan Domestic Party demands that Salam to involve the Kurds in negotiations committee with the United States. I thought they were already going to. Salam said in an interview, the presence of the representative of the Kurds in the forthcoming dialogue between Baghdad and Washington is very important because the issue of relations with America and the presence of the Iraqi forces in Iraq concerns all components. if Hussein is on the pyramid of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he would represent Iraq and will not represent Kurdistan. So a representative of the regional government must be present. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. I mean, even though the Hussein guy is coming from Kurdistan, but he should be there to do his job, and that is to represent the Iraqi people and not Kurdistan. That makes sense. Okay, good. So have a person there. Let's get these things ironed out. These articles all point, so far so good, in the need to increase the value of the Iraqi dinar, not decrease the value of the Iraqi dinar. All right, you guys, so there, I hope that straightened out the confusion. I get it, that article was confusing, but what the person was saying is, hey, remember, these are just recommendations, all right? These things aren't set in stone. They're just saying, look, I'm explaining to you why it's important to increase the value, not decrease it. And the person did a decent job of educating us what has been going on in the past, what needs to go on in the future, how it's going to affect the Iraqi people, and how foreign investors would, the article did cover this, and I just didn't cover this. If you decrease the value of the currency, foreign investors are going to be discouraged from coming in there to work because they know it's an unstable currency, and they can't rely on that currency to help them invest in Iraq. All right, you guys, so far it's looking good. I know that's a lot of good news. It's looking good, man. Just, keep praying, man. This says keep your faith. We'll be fine. Everything is looking good, okay? Looking good. All right, hit the like button if you haven't already. Please do so. All right, you guys. And also subscribe if you are not a subscriber. I want to point out one quick thing because I've been pointing it out on my videos with the picture, but I'm just going to show you. If you go to the hidden things in front of your eyes, the hidden things in front of your eyes, see this one here? The hidden things, and I will leave a link in the description. You could go here. This is more on current events. They're videos that I do, more on current events. You can see I just started up. While there were 60 the other day, it's now up to 315. Anyways, I'll leave a link in the description. Come on and join me over there. It's really good. There's a lot of good news, current events, conspiracy things, and my whole thought on what happened to Floyd. It's a damn shame that they hijacked that man's death to push a stupid agenda, but nonetheless, anyways, go hear what I got to say about that. Come join me over there. And just like that over there, I do have a Facebook group that matches that particular YouTube channel as well, and there's a link to it right here. So see, come and join me. One is investments only, and the other one is current events. All right, I'll look forward to hearing from you. Talk to you later. Bye.